first time I went to Mexico, and they were serving me some, I don't know, enchiladas or something, but they were covering it in this green stuff. Well, I know now it was guacamole. I love the stuff, but I was at that time not used to eating that kind of food and green food. No, we eat green vegetables here, but other than that, we don't eat green food.
That's funny. Well, that's another example where I really think that people who are most successful, and I can generalize this for any culture, and I've traveled in a lot of countries, and I think the people who are most successful in adapting to food in a different country are people who are the most adventurous. You say now you love guacamole, so you were willing to eat it, right? You tried it.
No, not then.
You didn't eat it?
I was in downtown Mexico City. It was my first time there, and I had eaten lots of food that I thought was Mexican. Now I know that what we call Mexican food here is almost never eaten. You can't even find it in Mexico, but everybody thinks they're eating it. But that's because if the restaurant served what they ate there, well, people here aren't used to it. So it's a blend. But I was eating the full-blown deal there, and I couldn't eat it. I had to leave because I was getting sick.
Oh no.
It's just because I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah. Well, I think that probably people who see this video will be better prepared than you were the first time that you went there, and that's good. So you can just expect that food will be different, and it's true for Chinese food too. When I went to China for the first time, actually the only time, I've only been there once, but I realized, oh my goodness, the Chinese food that we ate in the United States was not the same as real Chinese food in China. So, the thing is though, that I really think to be adventurous, to know kind of the things that can get you in trouble, for example, eating food that maybe is not completely clean, and you'll have to learn about the different food to avoid. For example, a lot of times lettuce in Latin America can wreak havoc on people's stomachs who are from the United States and not used to that. But, try different things. Try, for example, I've eaten chicken feet before. And everybody will say, oh, gross. And what is there to eat on a chicken foot? But it's sort of a specialty in some parts of China.
Larenda, I was with a man from India or Pakistan a while back, and he took my family to a Chinese restaurant. He was really curious about the Chinese food. He and I both were. Well, I mean, it said it was a Chinese restaurant. So I decided I would ask the Chinese waitress, and she was from China. I said, when we look at your China food, your buffet bar that you've got sitting out there, we see all these different kinds of foods. Which of this stuff do you actually eat in China? Well, my friend from India was very interested too, and we both looked over this long line of food. And the waitress, we watched her while she was looking at it, and she said, well, we eat a lot of broccoli.
That's pretty funny.
What did you find?
Oh, I think that's true. The food that we have here in Chinese restaurants is sort of like examples, or not examples, but it's sort of like a approximation of real Chinese food.
I have always felt the Americans' misunderstanding of what they're eating is equal to what they don't know about the people who speak the language.
That's a good analogy.
Now, I would like you to tell the students what you would tell them if you were face to face with them about the importance of thinking now, and maybe even ways to plan or begin to continue getting their heads ready for visiting outside of the country, or maybe even staying for a while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure. A lot of times when you go to college now, many colleges have programs where you can go and study for maybe a semester or a year overseas. It's becoming very popular.
High schools?
High schools, sometimes you can be an exchange student, and sometimes even, even as young as 6th grade, you can take a couple weeks in a different country with your classmates. And I really think that what you need to do, is, along with what I've said before, number one, be adventurous. Don't be afraid to speak and to make mistakes, and speak as much as you can. And number two is to be watch your attitude. Just have a really good attitude as far as being curious, thinking about why do other people do the things that they do, and don't be afraid to ask them. I mean, they might be a little surprised that you asked it, but I think, it's kind of human nature that people will be willing to talk to you for the most part, and that they'll be maybe asking you some questions. They might be curious. A lot of times people are curious about the United States, and they'll ask crazy questions, like they get ideas from movies like, does everybody carry a gun in the United States? Or they'll say something like that, that's totally untrue, but they've seen it on the movies. And so, not only do we not know things about other countries, but people from other countries don't know things about us. And it's really a wonderful way to have people, just in your small way, you can get along with people from other countries and help with understanding and communication over the world.
Larenda, I have one more question to ask you. Mm-hmm. And since you weren't prepared for this question, in fact, you weren't prepared for all the questions, but you didn't know everything I was going to ask you. Of course, you were prepared to handle them. But sometimes I hear students say, oh, I don't like that language. They'll say, I don't want to study French. I don't like French. Or, well, I don't like the Chinese language. Or I don't like Spanish, etc. What would you say to people when they say they don't like a language?
I would probably say, well, what especially don't you like about it? Because it's sort of funny to say, I don't like a language. I don't really know what that means. I guess maybe it's just, people say that because they're not interested in people learning about the other country, or maybe not interested in learning a foreign language. I'm not sure.
I'm not either. I find that people who say that don't even know other languages. Mm-hmm. I have never, ever, ever known anyone who says that. I'm just talking about my experience, but that's quite a bit. I've never known anyone who says that, who could speak another language well enough to know whether they liked it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that could be.
Do you have anything else you would like to say?
I'd just like to say thanks for listening, and I think that, listening to this is probably your first step in quite an adventure.
Well, muchas gracias for letting us come into your home. And if you all have heard some noises, like her daughter making lunch, or any other noises here, or I don't have a fancy backdrop, well, I just invaded their home and brought you into it, so this is the real thing here. So muchas gracias again.
De nada.